Joe Mixon, is he going to get released? Austin Ekeler, door closed for Austin Ekeler, according to reports for Cincinnati. And all these teams that were potentially vying for him are talking to him because Austin Ekeler was granted permission to seek a trade. But has the Cincinnati Bengal door reopened now that Mixon might be potentially released off of the back of the new news that Mixon's charges were actually filed again against him in the brandishing of a weapon against an individual that was 43 years old, a female driver in a road rage incident. Aaron Rodgers' deal potentially in the works, very close to happening, be done before the NFL draft. Kyler Murray cleared for practice. Richie James, we got a whole bunch more. Your phone calls, the Fantasy Football Show. It starts right now, young man. File on in, hit that thumb up button.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Smitty. You're watching the Fantasy Football Show. And I'm going to walk you through all the news and notes, things that are in the news, things that are potentially on our minds. Take your phone calls, answer your questions, take your super chats, and walk you through the usual Monday through Friday situation that we got going on up here. If this is your first time here, pitch your tent, because this is a Monday through Friday show. This is a guarantee for you. Doesn't matter if your boy Smitty's sick. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas Eve. It doesn't matter what it is. Monday through Friday, I'm live at 7 p.m. Eastern. Rain or shine. I'm on 1 hour sleep right now. I've been working around the clock for you. This is what I do. I live in this cave right here and been cranking out content like crazy. I work for you. And we're talking Joe Mixon briefly. We did a whole video on this. Look at the new Spaceman animation. Look at Deebo dancing, doing the Spaceman, bro, with the $4.99 hauler. You're the man, Smitty, says Devo. No, Devo, you got it the other way around. The pleasure's all on this side of the table, pal. Joe Mixon, briefly going to talk about this because we've already addressed it, and we're going to hit it, though. Richie James will hit that as well. Wait 1 second. Let me pull up the Joe Mixon news. Here we go. TMZ reported earlier today that criminal charge, and I initially reported that it wasn't a misdemeanor, it's a criminal misdemeanor. You know how you could have a potential speeding ticket as a criminal misdemeanor, but this is still brandishing a weapon against a 42 to 43 year old woman in a road rage incident where the charges got dropped. You remember this popped up like more than a month or two ago, and the charges got dropped, and everybody said, oh, Mixon's fine, everything's going to be good. And then the whole situation with his house, it got taped off by police. There was supposedly a shooting, that he wasn't there. His people that were at his house said he wasn't present, so he got cleared of that. And then this thing got kicked back up. We heard, and I warned people of this when the charges did get dropped, that the report said that charges could be pursued again if more evidence shows up or the potential alleged victim wanted to press charges or file charges against Joe Mixon. Here we are. The charge of aggravated menacing has been refiled against Joe Mixon. Misdemeanor criminal charge or not, this is a bad look. And the guy was teeter-tottering on the verge of being released anyway. I'm not saying he's a lock to get released, but it certainly feels the way that this was being talked about from the executive vice president of the Cincinnati Bengals, where this individual, the executive assistant or executive vice president of the Cincinnati Bengals, was quoted saying the following when asked if Joe Mixon would be on the roster in 2023. She said, actually, I got to paraphrase it. Right now, he's on the team. That was the answer. Is he going to be on the team in 2023? He's on the team, comma, right now. That's how she responded. And this was on March 30. Today is April 7. So much different answer most likely given there were no charges. The charges were dropped. He currently was in no legal situation. He did not have anything pending in terms of either a misdemeanor criminal charge or whatever. But bottom line is this. In my opinion, this guy's already dropped off. He's dropped off. Maybe this team was 50-50 on giving him another go. The offensive line's going to be improved. Maybe they say, hey, we'll run one more year back and see how it goes. We'll bring in somebody else. If it doesn't work out, we just split the time and push the carries over to one player versus another. Drafted Tank Bigsby in the later rounds. Drafted Sean Tucker. I see Sean Tucker wearing orange again for some reason. I think he could be a Bengal. I just feel it. Sean Tucker will be phenomenal in this system. But regardless, you got to say to yourself, if this team was on the verge of cutting him and maybe they went the other direction and said, we might not cut him. We might not cut him. You got to ask yourself if this would push the Bengals over the edge, because now they got a situation they don't really want to deal with, in a way out, essentially, to say, look, guy, it's time. It's time. And I get tired of people defending him, like innocent until proven guilty. I love that approach. That's the way this country should be. Innocent until proven guilty. But that's in the court process, the criminal process, the justice process, not in the private. You work for a private company and there's video evidence of Kamara beating a guy with his buddies and the guy's lifeless on the ground and you keep hitting him and kicking him. This is different. This is where if you or I went to work, and thank God I work for you, because I think you guys give me a pat. Look at the Patrick. The Patrick dropping the $5 haul. Appreciate you, the Patrick. If you guys, let's say the Patrick goes to work. He works at, let's say he types up TPS reports for a bank. And the Patrick goes to work. On his way to work, he brandishes a weapon toward a 43-year-old woman or a 43-year-old man on the way to work, and his boss finds out about it. Is the Patrick going to potentially be in trouble? I would say so. And more so the case in Kamara. It's very different in some contexts because Kamara was, at the Pro Bowl, even though he wasn't on the clock, on the field, doing, Saints things at that moment, he was representing the team in Las Vegas, and people defend him still. This guy's probably getting cut. If I was the Bengals, I would cut him anyway, because they need to move on. You need to draft, if it's me, you need to draft at this number 28 overall pick, Zach Charbonnet or Jahmyr Gibbs. And if you don't draft Zach Charbonnet or Jahmyr Gibbs at 28 overall, well, you trade up for Bijan. Any team should trade up for Bijan. And if not, you trade for Austin Ekeler, Derrick Henry, or Dalvin Cook using a third rounder. If you can get away with a couple thirds. In the case of Ekeler, you probably give up a second. Listen to me. I've made it no secret that I worry about Ekeler staying healthy on a full workload, but it's different for an NFL team to go after a player that can do what Ekeler could do still in the playoffs, even if he got banged up and missed 4, 5, 6 games during the regular season. You take that kind of gamble. And I would pay, if I was the Bengals, I would pay a second, a third, and a fourth, the exact same trade package that was offered for Christian McCaffrey, because that was a steal. I don't care what McCaffrey went for. McCaffrey went for a steal. McCaffrey should have been a first-round pick. McCaffrey should have been one first-round pick at least, and a fourth-rounder, first and a fourth. And if you say running backs don't get that kind of draft capital in a trade, I don't care. If you're the Eagles and you traded for Christian McCaffrey last year instead of the Niners, you won the Super Bowl. If you were the Bengals and you traded for Christian McCaffrey last year instead of the Niners, you won a Super Bowl. The same thing with the Buffalo Bills, and the same thing could be said about the Chicago Bears this year if they trade for Ekeler using a second-round pick or the same draft package or trade package as went for Christian McCaffrey. It's like I say all the time, it's borderline incompetence for the Eagles, the Bears, the Buffalo Bills. Pablo dropping the $5 hauler. The Eagles, the Buffalo Bills, the Bears, and the Cincinnati Bengals. Borderline incompetence not to give up more than a second round pick for Austin Ekeler to win a championship. And maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be talked about getting traded back to or over to Joe Burrow, back to Joe Burrow, under Joe Burrow's care. And you can rip on Clyde all you want. A lot of trash emojis. People always call Clyde trash. Clyde's trash. Well, you know what? Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But give me a shot with Clyde Edwards-Helaire under Joe Burrow's command again, like at LSU. And keep in mind, Joe Burrow, one person said maybe Joe Burrow's wrong for once in his life in this comment, but Joe Burrow said that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the best college football player he's ever played with. He played with both Bosa brothers. He played with all the LSU wide receivers. This guy's played with the elite of the elite of the elite and against the elite of the elite. Some of the best defensive players in the National Football League, Joe Burrow lined up against, and he said Clyde Edwards-Helaire was better than all of them. Everyone he played, everybody on his team, and I'm not saying he's right in that. I'm merely saying he loves Clyde. And if this team was to, let's say, keep Mixon, trade for Clyde very cheap, and just see what's what. Just see what's what. See if he works. See if he could do something in this system with Joe Burrow. I'm not ready to give up on Clyde totally. I know a lot of you are, and that's fine. I still really like him. He scored a bunch of touchdowns in Kansas City to kick off the year in 2022. He was phenomenal his first start in the NFL. We thought we had a gold mine his first NFL start. We thought this was it. This guy, first start, we're pumping him up. Boom, he explodes. He couldn't stay healthy. So Mixon, whole lot of things that could go on. I talked about Ekeler. Ekeler should be a Bengal, but the Bengals apparently don't want it. Maybe now they do because of this situation right here. Aaron Rodgers news is definitely something we need to kick around real quick. Diana Rossini with a quick update, kind of, she says, on the Aaron Rodgers deal via ESPN today. The deal is getting closer and closer. Let me move this over a little bit so I can read this. I'm sorry about that. Here we go. This deal is getting closer and closer. I'm told Green Bay wants this done before day one of the NFL draft. They want to add weapons for their young quarterback. This is what we've been talking about for a long time. Some people say that the Jets have zero leverage. That's not true. Some people say the Green Bay Packers have zero leverage. That's not true. Some people say that Aaron Rodgers has zero leverage. That's not true. They all have a little leverage and a little skin in this game. And some people say that the Jets or that the Packers want Sauce Gardner. That's not true. They may have said it at one point, but that you get a laugh. That's what happens. You get to take a laugh. That's not even up for debate. Some say that the Jets won't budge on wanting the Green Bay Packers the Green Bay Packers won't budge on wanting the Jets number 13 overall. That's not going to happen. Even if they push this to the limit, that's not going to probably happen. I really don't see it. Anything I suppose could, and you play hardball enough, maybe someone caves, but I don't think they want to go that direction at all. And the bottom line is this: the Packers are not preparing to pay Aaron Rodgers what Aaron Rodgers would make. So even if, let's say, they called the bluff of the Jets, the reason the Jets have some leverage as well is because the Packers can't actually proceed fully with keeping Aaron Rodgers on the roster. Not to mention, what are they going to do with Jordan Love if that happens? And not to mention, Aaron Rodgers will either retire or make the Packers' life difficult if he was to sit on the roster and really want to stick it to them and say, you know what, I'm not going away. Like, there's so many reasons why this is going to get done. And you got rumors of Aaron Rodgers to the Niners. That's nonsense. Aaron Rodgers said, I want to go to the Jets. That is it. That is it. There's nothing else to it. He doesn't want to play for anybody else. If, let's say, that the deal fell through and it became some crazy unraveling, which I suppose is possible. After 2020, what we endured in 2020 as a culture, as a society, as a sports industry, I'll never rule anything fully out. When the NCAA tournament got canceled in 2020, that was the one thing I said would never happen. Never happen. Lightning would strike my body walking outside with no clouds, no storm, no lightning, no rain before the NCAA tournament, money-making tournament, was going to get canceled over something or anything. And it did. So, like, honestly, that's one of the most shocking things that's ever, I think, happened to the sports world. The money-making tournament getting canceled was crazy. So I know it's funny to reflect on that, but that's what I look to when I say to myself, that can't happen. 0% chance. I tend to remind myself, I'll give myself a little nudge. Hey, Smitty, remember in 2020, the unthinkable happened to all of us. All the things that unfolded that we never would have guessed would unfold. Anything could happen. Anything, sure. But the Niners are not going to go after Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to happen. Trey Lance is going to get his shot to compete, unfortunately, with Sam Darnold, and he'll probably blow him out of the water as long as he's healthy, as long as Shanahan doesn't botch it, because Shanahan doesn't really know what he's doing when it comes to quarterback rooms until somebody decides for him, hey, here's your guy, make it work. But Shanahan hopefully lets Trey cook. Hopefully Trey totally unleashes holy hell on everybody, including Sam Darnold. And the guy's working with Patty Mahomes right now. And this is a guy that we've talked about being similar. The two are similar in some ways, not comparing their trajectory of their careers, not comparing the height that Trey could ever get to, but in terms of like a potential style of play. A guy that can scramble, a guy that can throw a missile down the field while he's running. He's an absolute monster. He's an absolute potential sleeping giant, Trey Lance. He was on the Moon Men list last year for a reason. But that doesn't mean it's going to work out, because guess who's involved? Shanahan. Guess who I don't trust at all? Shanahan. Guess who failed to protect all of his quarterbacks last year? Shanahan. Guess who says that it's not Shanahan? It's just dumb luck. Football people get hurt. I say hogwash. I say you should have built your offensive lineup in a scheme where you have all kinds of polling and things that happen that don't happen in other systems. You need to protect your quarterbacks differently than other teams. You have tight ends blocking linebackers. Not essentially the reason all this unfolded, but telling you that this offense needs special attention on the offensive line, and the Niners need to address the offensive line right now, and they still aren't addressing it to my liking, but the NFL draft is coming. There's still a little bit of free agency left, but it's totally within the realm of possibility that Trey Lance could fail because of Shanahan or explode because of him, because of his talent. And so Aaron Rodgers, not to go too much on a sidetrack, Aaron Rodgers is not in the cards for the 49ers at this moment in time. Let's say Aaron Rodgers is still, let's say this unravels and he's available. He doesn't know what he wants to do. The Jets deal falls through. The Jets go after Lamar Jackson in some crazy, unbelievable, not likely to happen at all scenario. And Aaron Rodgers is sitting there. And he's like, well, I still want to play, and I want to play for Green Bay. And this like turns into some like long, stretched out into almost July situation, which honestly, again, after 2020, would anybody be all that shocked if something crazy like that happened? Let's be honest, okay? My initial reaction is no way, but who knows? Who knows? We've seen some crazy things happen in the last 3-4 years. We really have. So to imagine something like that, not that crazy, but let's say it unravels. The Jets get pissed off. They go after Lamar. They offer him an offer sheet. Boom. Lamar Jackson's a New York Jet just in a snap. Let's just say in fairy tale world, a parallel universe, that happens. That goes down. Okay? So now the Packers are like, oh crap, what do we do here? And let's say in the same context, Purdy goes out, tests his arm, and we're talking about when Purdy's after the draft, Purdy's out there testing it. Rodgers is sitting there in limbo. The Jets are going after, the Jets have Lamar. Lamar's a Jet, let's say. And Aaron Rodgers is sitting there going, do I go in another darkness retreat? What do I do? And the Packers are like, holy crap, what do we do? Let's just say. And Brock Purdy goes out and tests his arm. It doesn't work. He's got to go back under the knife. Maybe the Niners look into it. But that is so many degrees of separation away. You can't expect anything to happen other than Aaron Rodgers to go to the New York Football Jets. It's a matter of time. As reported here, a deal is very close to getting done. Smitty's garage has 49er flags and pictures of Shanahan for sure, says Andrew. No. Joe Mixon, we went over this piece of news. Kyler Murray, this one's interesting. It seems a little early, but I don't know exactly what cleared to resume workouts really means, because it's the talk that follows this report is nothing about, he's far along or anything. He's still potentially set to miss maybe half of a season. They think he could be back a little earlier, but this is good news. This means no setbacks. This means potentially he's ahead of schedule. Kyler Murray knee has been cleared to resume workouts. Very light workouts, rehab workouts, getting back on track. Some running, some cutting drills, some quad strengthening, some rubber band work, strengthening the quads, getting the trust back in the knee. When you tear your ACL, your boy has torn his ACL. I've torn pretty much everything known to man. When you tear your ACL, which you can see on the back of this model, you have a PCL and ACL. Lamar tore his PCL, almost a 2-3 grade tear, which would have required surgery. And there's some concern about that. And I'll talk about that at a later date. Remind me. But the ACL, the other one, again, this is the front of the knee. If you tear the ACL or the PCL, really, and you sever that ligament, that ACL, that ligament, your brain has a severed connection in the body. And if you go out and try and cut, your brain has to find a new pathway to your leg, and it's severed. It's a severed connection, and you don't communicate as fast as you would think. I know it sounds crazy, but I've experienced it myself with my torn ACL. I would be walking in, let's say, Lowe's or Home Depot, Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know if I had time, but let's say I did, and I'm walking, and I see something, I want to go that direction, and I literally, in my mind, cut, but my body doesn't turn, and I just keep walking straight. It was the weirdest feeling in the world. I went, and I just kept walking straight. Your body has to create new connections when major things get severed, like an ACL, and so Kyler's got a lot of trust to build with the knee, but the good news with Kyler is that he's a smaller dude. He's a smaller dude, and smaller dudes have less weight on the knee. There's less, sometimes, like, think of Jamal Charles tore his ACL kind of not at a super young age, but because he was light, because he didn't have any of the issues that a lot of players did have coming back from an ACL tear at a medium to older age. Jamal Charles was light on his feet. Anytime you're a little bit lighter than the average bear and you have a knee issue, it's a lot better. Anybody have knee issues and you gain weight and you can't even run? Your knees ache, your knees hurt, but when you drop the LBs and you go out and run, you don't have as many knee problems. It's the same thing with a smaller statured player. So Kyler could have a quicker recovery than the average player because of the size difference between Kyler and some other players that have torn their ACL. So this is good news, but at the same time, there's no report suggesting he'll be back any quicker than mid-season. And there's some hope he does maybe come back a little sooner, but that's it. I mean, there's no like, he's way out of schedule. He's resuming workouts. Resuming workouts is kind of expected around this territory of time. Richie James signed with the KC Chiefs. This is kind of an interesting signing because this guy's pretty good. I don't know that he's going to find his way into a very huge role. Maybe not. But I was hoping he'd land somewhere where he could get utilized. Maybe this turns out to be that place. Maybe it doesn't. But Richie James, I like Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore to the moon. Kadarius Toney's going to get a big shot. But I like Sky Moore a lot to take a huge, big step. They invested high draft capital in Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore gets unleashed a little bit in 2023, becomes a super sleeper wide receiver 3, a league-winning wide receiver 3. But this is interesting that he got drafted. Thomas says, watched your draft podcast from last night. Loved the Hawkinson Ingram with wide receivers and drafting. Appreciate you dropping that comment. And let's hit the phone lines now that we've got the news out of the way. Phone lines should be fixed, and we're going to hit any topic you want. So dial into the show. The phone number is on screen, or will be on screen once I click this button here. Phone number will be on screen. There it is. I'll also hit the button to kind of urge you all to call on in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Let's go. D-Town, appreciate you being here. Man, I loved watching Jamal Charles. I did too, says Sick Nasty. Kilpatrick in the house. What's up, Kilpatrick? Appreciate you being here. What's up, media? Media in the building. Richie. Richie with the KC Chiefs is pretty decent. Priest Holmes. Who doesn't miss Priest Holmes? What a monster. I remember when he tore his ACL playing Detroit, says Sick Nasty. Priest Holmes is probably my favorite running back of all time in fantasy football and the NFL. Just an exciting player. And in fantasy specifically, you get those 3 and 4 TD games. Look, if you said, hey, Smitty, tell me something guaranteed, I would say when Priest Holmes got a sweep, swing pass, a pitch from like anywhere near, Kevin, dropping the $2 hauler, anywhere near the 7 to 12 yard line, or no, anywhere from the 12 yard line or closer. Anybody who knows Priest Holmes knows what I'm talking about. There'll be a sweep left or a sweep right, a halfback pitch left or a halfback pitch right. Anytime Priest Holmes got the football and navigated to one side of the field to make a single cutback or two from 12 yards or out, it was a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? When you were sitting there and you owned Priest Holmes, it was blue 32, hatchback 7, Holmes right, hike, and it was pitch to Priest Holmes. As soon as he get it, he's at the 12, 13 yard line, couple cuts, goes in. You just like, it's a touchdown, it's a touchdown. It was a touchdown. Every single time it felt like Priest Holmes was my favorite player of all time at the running back position. Marshall Faulk and Tomlinson were obviously very, very fun to watch as well. Barry Sanders as well. And I watched Barry Sanders play. I didn't just watch film. You know, like some people don't watch LeBron or don't watch Jordan and they say LeBron's better than Jordan. That whole debate just is ridiculously funny. LeBron's one of the best ever, top 3 for sure. I loved watching Priest Holmes. Thank you for your super chat, Kevin. Let me get to these super chats real quickly. We've had a couple super chats so far. Pablo dropping the super chat, the $5 hauler. Pablo, did you end up dropping any kind of question after that? Let me see if Pablo asked anything. If he's just dropping fire to be an absolute monster. Pablo, if you got a question, please let me know, and I'd love to answer it for you. Kevin says, how far could you see Hendon Hooker move up in the draft? Kevin, you're still here, right? Kevin, you here? Yeah, Kevin's still here. Priest, the Beast was my dude on NFL Game Day for PlayStation. Absolutely, Kevin. Kevin, I appreciate your super chat, my guy. Thank you so much for doing the dance. I would say that Hendon Hooker could climb as high as 15 or 10 to 15. This is a guy that was projected to not even be near a first-round pick, but all of a sudden, because of the need at quarterback, because of all the buzz, the 11th hour talk that always drives one quarterback up, it seems to be Hendon Hooker that's getting driven up. Anthony Richardson got driven up in value due to buzz. Now we've got a potential Hendon Hooker situation where some people say he's better than Levis. Some people say Hendon Hooker is the second or third best quarterback in the draft. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm merely saying that that's being said about some scouts, analysts, and mock draft people. Not saying they're correct, but certainly could move up. Appreciate you dropping that super chat, my main man, Kevin. Is the Patrick still here? The Patrick, appreciate you. I don't know if I read it. Smitty, we drafting tonight. I need to jump in a show, a little something. You said it earlier, but Hunt to Cincinnati. Yeah. That could definitely Zeke or Hunt to Cincinnati. I'm not saying I like the Zeke part. Definitely possible. Oh, Kilpatrick, you're on the line. Kilpatrick, what can I do for you?
What's going on, Smitty? How's your foot?
Bro, my toe looks like, I can't even tell you. It looks like LeBron James's foot right now. My toenail, I don't know why my toenail's still attached. I can't make sense of it, and I can't really explore it because it's so painful. I just leave it alone. But I have a feeling my toenail is just sitting on top for some reason. Like it's not really supposed to be there anymore. For anybody that doesn't know, on my Instagram stories, if you click on my little circular face and you can see all my story posts, it should still be up. But in the middle of the night, I ran into a slide in the dark, and the slide was on the ground. And I just blasted through it, man. My foot didn't even hit it. I went through it like it was kicking a football. And the toenail just started bleeding all over. But it's hurt. It's throbbing. I can still run, I think, on it tonight. I'm going to try. It might bleed a lot or whatever, but we'll see. Real quickly, before you ask your question, the Patrick, you still here? I just want to make sure that Patrick gets his super chat answered. Devo, appreciate you dropping that, by the way. He said, you're the man, Smitty. Thank you, Devo. The Patrick, I want to make sure the Patrick gets taken care of. Where's the Patrick? The Patrick. Where are you at, bro? Where are you at? I think he's here. Eric, yeah, okay, I think he's here. So the Patrick said, Smitty, are we drafted tonight? Yes, and again, we probably will draft. I can't ever guarantee the night drafts. They're always like bonus draft or bonus live streams, but I probably should be good to go. As for Kareem Hunt, Zeke Elliott, those are the top two running back options. They're certainly possible for the Cincinnati Bengals, even if Mixon stays on the roster, which I don't think he will. But I do think the Bengals still will explore the Austin Ekeler conversation again. Anybody remember Amon Green and Robert Smith? Yeah, bro. Both of those guys were phenomenal. Deuce McAllister. There's a plethora of guys we could bring up from the heyday. Okay, Kilpatrick, hit me with what do you got?
Yeah, man, I got a quick little question for Dynasty Superflex startup. I got offered today 6th round, 8th pick for my 11th round and my 2025 first. What you think?
6th round. Say it again.
I acquired the 6th round pick, 8th pick in the 6th round. I give away my 11th round and my 2025 first.
6th round. Can you give me a list of guys? Because I don't know if this is keeper and whatnot. Can you give me a list of guys that would potentially be available for this pick?
Yeah. Just give me 1 second. I got the mock right here. Yeah. So
are there keepers involved?
We're looking at like no keepers. You're looking at like Schultz, maybe a Darren Waller. You could get
Okay, so regular 6th round pick. No. So it's a Dynasty startup?
Exactly, Superflex.
Okay, let's take a look at it.
Superflex.
Let's take a look at on the board. What's going on here? Hold on, Kilpatrick. We got a foul on the flag on the field. Okay, so let's say that so 2024 first and an 11th rounder for a 6th.
It's actually a 25. It's a 25 first, so it's not even next year. It's
25 first and an 11th rounder in a startup dynasty for the 6th overall or the 6th round pick. I tend
guys like
Ron
Burks, Damian Pierce, Chris Godwin, that kind of area.
So do you think Watson, London? Probably not. Kyle Pitts, none of those guys are falling in this particular draft with these grandmas.
No way.
Charbonnet, could he be there in a grandma league here?
Charbonnet would be, he would be. He's actually around later.
Yeah, I just mean with your group, it's not weird or okay. So this is a tough one. The Patrick dropping another wad on screen, $2 hauler. Get in on the next draft. Get in on that draft tonight. Yes, I dropped a link in the live chat. There's no way to really get it to you early unless you're subscribed to my Instagram channel, which I've put out there a bunch. That's the mock draft and live draft channel. So DM me the Patrick, and I may not get to you in time for tonight's draft, but I'll get you on that channel. It's a free subscribe on Instagram. It's like a private chat group that has no ability for you to chat in it. It's a one-way conversation where I just announce things. So you need to get that, okay? So I guess so Watson probably not. He's a 4th or 5th rounder. Let me take a look at some ADP data real quick and just see, or let me look at one of the mock drafts from last night, and let me just see who I think you might be able to get. I don't really love Godwin. I don't think Godwin's a player I'll want to own.
Neither here. I'm just staying away from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, looking at
with Mayfield.
Looking at a mock from last night, and this is redraft, but I'm just trying to get a sense for a couple players. JSN won't be there. Yeah, this is where in Dynasty, this is where the 6th round is where there's a lot of veterans and it drops off. That's a tough one, bro.
Like the kind of tier I'm looking at right now, like Burks in that range. George Pickens, Quentin Johnson is usually around there.
I mean, I'd take
Pickens.
Pickens or Johnson. I think that would be pretty good. So if you think you could get Charbonnet, I'd probably do it. If you think you can get Charbonnet or Pickens, I probably would do it. But it's a little bit of a risk. It's a little bit of a risk because if you end up having a bad team, and then you're later on wishing you didn't get rid of that 2025.
Can't rebuild it, right?
But at the end of the day, bro, 11th rounder. Who cares about 11th rounder?
Right.
If let's say you get do you think you could draft a guy that would go in the top 4 of the 2025 rookie draft? Because let's say you have a top 4 pick, maybe Charbonnet, Quentin Johnson, maybe Addison, maybe George Pickens. Maybe London somehow falls to you.
Both, yeah.
Maybe Pitts falls to you somehow. Maybe Gibbs falls somehow, some way. I don't know. Maybe I don't know, one of the quarterbacks that we like would fall, but you also could trade this pick. You could trade your 6th and a 7th to get a 4th, and then all of a sudden you can get a Watson. Yeah, I'd do it. I'd take Charbonnet. I'd take it. This is a nothing burger pick. So you're essentially saying, give me a Pickens or a Charbonnet for my 2025 first. I'm okay with that. Just make your team good, so the pick sucks.
One more really quick question. If I'm at the 10th pick, first round, right? Same guy is, if I don't do this trade, I could swap my 10 with his 5, give him that 2025 first and a 2nd, and I'll be able to move up and get possibly a Herbert or Burrow. I'm hoping Burrow.
It's super flex?
Yeah.
Well, if it's super flex, you might see London or Watson fall to that 6th rounder, bro. If it's super flex, it may happen. It's tough to say. So I really like that trade if it is super flex. Trade your 2025 first and the 2025 second. Not your 2nd rounder down here, right?
Right.
You're talking about,
and then just basically swap the 10th pick in the first round for the 5. Hoping I get Burrow.
Smash it.
All right,
bro, that's the easiest decision. That's the easiest question I've been asked all week. Because you get Fields or Burrow. And the fact that Fields is going over Burrow right now means you're probably 70% chance going to get Burrow. And even if you don't, I love Fields. To get that top 5 quarterback, you have an advantage above advantages. It's an absolute smash. And as long as these are both rookie picks, you're not giving up your 2nd round vet pick, like your startup pick.
No, these are rookies.
Okay, smash that, bro. Stay on hold. Let me go to the next caller, but you can stay on the panel. We got who is next? Hold on one second. Let me just look at the list here. Dakota Dave, you're live on the Fantasy Football Show, my man.
How's it going?
It's good, bro. The phone lines are back.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wanted a couple of comments and question about Deebo. You were talking about him quite a bit yesterday. And I had the misfortune of having him as my receiver 1 last year. And it was weird. Even before CMC came, they were not getting him the ball much. And when they did, he wasn't even able to do his thing, partly because, Jimmy just telegraphs the screens to him. And the defenses were catching on. No jet sweeps, occasionally in the backfield with some off-tackle runs, which is dumb. And, of course, I didn't know that Jimmy was going to be playing. I figured, Deebo did great in 2021 and a nice upgrade on quarterback. But I was just wondering if there was any way maybe I could have seen that coming.
There was some thoughts about Deebo maybe, getting too much work and injury potentially entering the picture. He played 13 games, so clearly he got banged up. I mean, anybody that had him knows that. If you didn't have him, I'm telling you, he played 13 games. 632 and 2 TDs was awful. He did have 3 TDs on the ground, which was nice. He had 232, but Christian Watson had 200 yards and 2 TDs. So he's not his old Deebo Samuel wide back role in this offense currently as I see it. Not to mention he's in a potential musical chairs of quarterback, at least 2 quarterbacks deep in that musical chairs. Therefore, you don't know that consistency will follow because the offenses could be very different. The fact that Shanahan speaks to Trey Lance as a dual threat and Purdy as just a pocket passer, you've got to expect the offenses to be different. Therefore, the usage of Deebo is going to be inconsistent in 2023. I think if he had another good year, we could bank on him. But I think having a struggle year, being that he's been kind of abused between the tackles, given that there's too many mouths to feed, and I don't know what his role is going to be with Trey now. We've seen him with Jimmy. He didn't do anything. We've seen him with Purdy. He didn't really do anything. With Jimmy the year prior, he did because Jimmy was so limited that it was all Deebo, but he wouldn't probably stay healthy getting that same usage anyway, so they tried to dial that back. And the bottom line is Shanahan will abuse him if he needs to. He's not worried about keeping him healthy or anything like that. I'm not saying he's like trying to get him hurt, but I'm just saying he's not going to be like, Deebo doesn't want to get injured. He's got escalators in his contract that kick more money in when he does this with wide back and that, hits certain statistical marks. So he wants to run too. But I just don't trust him, bro. In the 4th round, I'm okay with it, but I have a bad feeling about Deebo this year. I have a very bad feeling that Deebo's carrying a little extra weight. He has plenty of time to trim down, but he's a big dude, and to be getting the work he's getting as a running back, even if it's part-time, not even like half-time, they cut it down a lot. He's getting those carries that are dangerous for him at his size. And I just feel like the wear and tear is real. I think knee injuries, him and A.J. Brown concern me very much with knee injuries for 2023 for some reason. Call some of that gut instinct, call some of it, a track record of it too. It's not like A.J. Brown has no knee issues. He has a lot of knee issues. It's not like Deebo hasn't had knee issues. He's had knee issues. So it's not like I'm just throwing mud at a wall and thinking it's going to stick. Like, these two are concerns for me. But I'm probably staying away from Deebo unless I get him in the mid to late 4th round. And that, to me, especially in best ball, feels pretty good because it will allow you to have a bad year with him and still, like, if he gets 700 yards and 4 touchdowns receiving, he gets 250 for 2 or 3. Like, he can maybe kind of come close to 4th to 5th round value as a wide receiver, sum total with that production if you include the receptions. You know what I mean? Like, he can earn it. But he's risky anywhere as a 3rd drafted player, 2nd drafted player. No, thank you. I'm out. Christian McCaffrey is the target hog in this offense. And I don't think Shanahan's going to deploy, especially with Trey Lance, this high-powered attack. He should, because Trey's got a cannon, bro. This is why I don't like Shanahan. I mean, he's got a great scheme. I get it. He's a offensive savant. But it doesn't mean he can see all the other angles, and that's why people say he takes his foot off the gas. He doesn't finish in games. Like, it doesn't matter how good of an offensive savant you are. Like, you got to be able to close and understand what you're working with. So I feel like it's very, very tough to count on Deebo this year unless you're getting him in that 4th, 5th round territory. And even then, it's just like you're hoping he stays healthy. That's it. So Deebo's an avoid.
I'm not gonna... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I'm not going to touch him at all. I mean, he was kind of a disappointment. But I tell you what, he when he came back from injury, he had a nice connection with Purdy, and he had a nice connection with Trey. In Trey's rookie year. So obviously QB matters a lot. But he actually did better with CMC and Purdy in there than Jimmy G and no CMC.
Yeah, as DJ said, Deebo's production will never be the same with CMC there. It's the honest truth. It's the God's honest truth. In fact, if let's say Christian McCaffrey misses 4 games, Deebo probably has monster games. 3 out of those 4 games. But the problem is, will Deebo get hurt? Will Deebo get hurt being run into the ground? And it doesn't seem like Shanahan learns his lesson either. And if anybody's a Niner fan, you can call in media. You can call in if you want and debate this with me, because I don't, you defend anything Niner. Sometimes you're objective, but usually not. Shanahan doesn't learn his lesson. Doesn't learn his lesson when he takes his foot off the gas in the fourth quarter. Doesn't learn his lesson with Jimmy G. Doesn't learn his lesson with 100 different things. Doesn't learn his lesson for extending Bosa when you did the same thing with Deebo. You just wait. Our plan's to wait, create animosity, create tension. He doesn't learn his lesson with Trey Lance getting hurt running up the gut. And then what do? I believe the same game. It was the same game or the next game at halftime with literally almost no clock left. They tried to run the ball out in the first half, I believe, of the same game. Macho just became a YouTube exclusive member. Hold on. Macho, where's my? Hold on, Macho. I got a camera situation here. Macho, YouTube exclusive member. Casey became a YouTube exclusive member. Somebody must have dropped a gifted sub. Because we got him filing in here. Shoddy became a YouTube exclusive member. Who dropped the gifted subs? Somebody did. Hold on one second. David became an exclusive member. Let me get into my own live stream from the web here so I can see these who dropped this. Somebody dropped a gifted membership, I think. Anyway, appreciate you all. What are we talking about? What's the question? Deebo?
Talk about Deebo, and one other point. The same thing was with Kittle, with Purdy. All of a sudden, he came alive. Before, he was having a lousy season. So, even with CMC there, Purdy really helped the team a lot.
Yeah.
And from fantasy perspective, helped both, Kittle a lot. And Deebo. I don't know what was happening before. They were not getting the ball.
Guys, I dropped the YouTube exclusive membership link right now, and I pinned it. So if you want to become a YouTube exclusive member, see your name fly onto the screen here. It's $1.99 for the small amount. Did somebody drop a gifted membership? Because we had like several in a row there. Whoever dropped it, thank you so much. Appreciate you. What was I going to say? It was something about Deebo's workload. Shanahan doesn't. Whatever.
You were saying that Shanahan is just reckless with his players.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't
I was
really
gonna say at the game Trey got hurt running the ball. It was halftime. There was like almost no time on the clock, and he ran Deebo Samuel up the middle to run the clock out. Right before the second half. So when someone says he learns his lesson, get out of here. Get out of here with that. He doesn't learn
Did
anything.
the same thing with Trey Lance too.
Bro, half back plunge. Trey, here you go. Take it. And look, running quarterbacks run. I understand that, but you don't run Josh Allen in certain circumstances.
Oh,
Josh Allen is reckless all by himself. But like the way that he used Trey, he ran him like a ton in designed runs up the gut. Like it's one thing to have like a QB sneak, but you don't plan a whole lot of. You don't run a guy. How many times who's a Niner fan here? How many times did Trey run that one game? What was it when he came in and it was something crazy. It was a crazy number of rushing attempts. Anyway, let's get off the Niner conversation. We talk a lot of that when we get into that. Let's go to we got other callers on the line here. Hang tight, Kilpatrick. Isaac.
The Isaac here.
What's up, Isaac?
Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Well, the Isaac's here, but also known as one of 4 or 5 fall asleep on the show.
One of 4 or 5 what?
To fall asleep on the show.
That's yeah, the Isaac who fell asleep on the show. That's right. I'm gonna put Z's in parentheses next to your name, so I remember that every time. So we have the Isaac, we have the Bruce, and we have the Patrick. We have a couple. That's how you get sir or knighted here on the show, is you get a the in front of your name, but you got to earn it. What's up, Isaac? What can I do for you?
Yeah, knight me. I couldn't be prouder. But no, listen, I actually want to talk to you about Fields, but I gotta just say the Niners. Oh my gosh, Shanahan treats his team and his players like they're modern day gladiators.
Yeah,
just putting him in the worst positions. Like, he has to know he's doing it too.
Yeah, it's weird when people say, like, it's football. People get hurt. Like, do you really think 4 quarterbacks are going down with dumb luck? Like, do you really think that it doesn't? People ask, well, what is it then? How could it possibly be Shanahan? Because the scheme is a unique scheme. Like, you're putting quarterbacks in a very risky situation because there's polling and switching going on that's abnormal for an offensive line and offense, and it's creative. That's what makes it so explosive and insane. But you have like a tight end blocking a linebacker. You have different things where there's mismatches in terms of speed, but sometimes power, and that creates a potential vulnerability in the offensive line. And when you don't attack the offensive line in the offseason because you're hanging on to Jimmy Garoppolo's contract, I'm sorry, but I can tie exactly to Shanahan, and I will. I'll continue to. But anyways, next topic. Hit me with something else.
Well,
D-Town in the
first
building.
of all, you've been hard, my man. I appreciate it. Fields is him. What an episode that you just had, because as you stand in front of that clubhouse of 50, like you were explaining, it's apparent that fantasy football is relevant to the line of betting. I mean, what a connection you made there.
Yeah, bro, I can't tell you the feeling I got when that guy came back to me, because I swear to you, I went into that clubhouse room full of 50. If anybody doesn't know what Clubhouse is, it's the audio chat. Twitter Spaces is basically designed off of Clubhouse, which was a huge success. I never have gone on it since Twitter Spaces developed, but Clubhouse, it was a room full of like 50 plus bettors. And I went in there and I just wanted to ask them, like, because I was listening, I thought it'd be fun to go in there. And I just said, "Why do you guys play fantasy football?" They're like, "No, I don't have time." And just in a nutshell, if anybody missed it, I said, "You guys should." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because it's predictive. You learn a whole different part of the gambling game." So many people think that, like, when I go on Rodgers' 49ers show, they always say, "Oh, this guy doesn't know football. He just knows fantasy." And it's so funny because I laugh at those people because they don't know. It's not their fault. But I know more football than a person that just looks at football. I have to learn football first. I know football in and out. And then you have to learn the other part of it. Someone that knows football can't play fantasy football. Somebody that plays fantasy football and knows fantasy football knows the NFL in and out. So it's so funny that people look at it backwards. And sometimes they'll say, "Oh, this guy's great for fantasy," but, you know, I'm like, I don't just do fantasy. I do news. I do NFL breakdowns. I do everything, scouting, everything, combine stuff. That's what we do. But I went in there and I said, you guys should be doing fantasy football to hone in on your betting skills, your predictive skills. And they're like, "Give me an example." And I said, "The Bengals will win the division." And they're all, "Oh, you're an idiot." This is when before they drafted Jamar Chase. "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, the Bengals." One guy listened. I didn't know he listened, though. I didn't know he listened, bro. I left the clubhouse chat of 50 after getting completely laughed at. And it was fun. I mean, there was banter. It wasn't like I got bullied. But I mean, we left. I'm like, "See you guys later." They're like, "Hey, thanks for coming in." Like, it was very friendly. But I left, and later on, he called into the show, and he said, "Remember that clubhouse chat you came in and said the Bengals will win the division?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "I put money on the Bengals." And I forget how much he put on it. It was like $500 or $1,000, whatever, but to win the division. And to win the division, those odds were astronomical. And so he made a boatload of money. And in the chat, they talk about it. Like, "Remember when we didn't take that bet? And so did." He rolled it all into the Super Bowl to win and lost it all. But it was an amazing story. I hope he calls in. I forget who it was.
And that was a close. I mean, he could have really made out. You know, like,
yeah,
they're living in the past of their bet. You know, they think fantasy football is just a game. They think it's just for true fantasy. I mean, it is fantasy, but we know what we're doing with fantasy. We know NFL, like you said, you know, inside and out. We're
hope
living around the corner. They're living a year ago.
Bro, I hope someday, like Moneyball kind of had its moment in baseball. I really hope that someday, and not every fantasy person knows what they're doing, obviously, but like if you go to the elite of fantasy football, and I don't care if you don't consider, I'm not saying you, but anybody watching says this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, then whoever you feel is the best at fantasy football advice giving, whatever. There is something about the way that we look at it that's different than a scout or that an NFL, coach or trainer or whatever looks at. We look at this thing from a predictive standpoint, and we look at production. And the bottom line is production's all you want at the end of the day. But for some reason, coaches and scouts, they look at something a little different and in between. And so when I see somebody ceiling potential, and I feel like, okay, like when I saw Josh Allen, I saw nothing but greatness potentially hiding in this guy. And everybody trashed on him over and over. Jalen Hurts, nothing but greatness. Now, in my non-defense, I saw the same thing in Trey Lance. Maybe that proves true this year, but I was wrong there. And part of that is situation. Part of that was me being victim to not really accepting the reality of the situation and allowing coaching to blind my obsession and appreciation for Trey's skill set. And that's something that's a weakness for not just me, but for everybody. Like fantasy football should be a learning environment. That's why I have these courses that'll be dropping sometime this month. We'll have 4, 5, 6 courses out on the fantasyfootballshow.com. So if you guys want to watch those training courses on how to trade, how to negotiate trades, how to trade out of the first round, how to trade into the first round, all different videos and courses on bettering yourself. Why go in? How many people just go into the next season just doing the same old thing? They don't try and learn and become a student of fantasy football. It sounds so dumb. I'm sure our wives are like, what's this guy talking about? He's living in a fantasy world here. We are in a fantasy world, but if you could turn your weakness into a strength, you're unstoppable. Yeah. And I would say one of my weaknesses, and it's okay to have them. I'm not a perfect person. I've turned a lot of my weaknesses into strengths over the 20 years doing this professionally. But one of my admitted weaknesses is getting so hyped up about a player's talent that I will overlook the situation. Javonte Williams as an example, although I think he would have elevated past it had he just stayed healthy, because Melvin Gordon ultimately wasn't a problem. They released him. Melvin Gordon, they were looking for anybody to start by themselves at a certain point halfway through the season. So Javonte would have fully been unlocked. But that's just a small example of, in year one for Javonte. No, talent's going to win out. Talent's going to win out. That would be my cross to bear, if you will, is that I can sometimes try and convince myself that a coaching situation might be something we overlooked. Like let's say, for example, Aaron Rodgers didn't go to New York. I could see myself in my flaws as a human being. I could see myself still loving Garrett Wilson more than I should and Breece Hall more than I should, even though Hackett is there. You know what I mean? But now that Aaron Rodgers is there, we don't have to worry about that at all. It's a zero concern. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? That's probably something that all of us need to work on. But I admit I'm not an expert at that part yet. I think that's a part that I need to work on every day.
And I have the same flaw. It's just you get so excited about it, and when later on you take a step back and what was I kind of thinking? There were other factors here that I should have looked at that I normally do, but I was betting on this person, and other things occur in the process. Whether they get hurt or whatnot.
Yeah. Hey, real quickly, let me go to Ron Navy. Ron Navy, how you feeling?
Hey, it works both ways, though. You could be overexcited, or you can be trashing the guy, and and not look at everything either. I mean, I did that with Hurts. I was trashing Hurts last year, before the season started.
Yeah, and the tough part.
But. Yeah. I thought when you told that story, Smitty, about the club, I thought you actually went into the club and there was a bunch of guys sitting in the club.
No, Clubhouse is Clubhouse is an audio chat app. It's like Twitter Spaces.
But
I'm hoping that guy's watching
and
right now. He calls in.
I feel like I just had a dumb moment. I was doing a draft before you started your live stream, and I love my draft, but it got down to the late rounds, and McKinnon's there, and I'm thinking, McKinnon late round, that's a good. I had no idea that he was a free agent, that he's no longer with KC.
No, he's with.
Super what?
He's with.
He's with nobody.
No, Jerick McKinnon's still with the Chiefs.
No, he's not. If you go into it shows him with no team. No team.
Didn't he get tendered?
No.
I thought he did too.
It shows him with no team.
Um.
If you underdog, it shows him with no team. And I'm like, how the heck did I miss that one?
Hold on, Ron. Let me just verify this. I thought they brought him. I thought they brought him back. You're right. They haven't signed him. Maybe they were talking about it and never did. I don't know. McKinnon. I'm sure he comes back though. I think that was the word. I think that he was going to return. He was going to potentially test the market if they bring him back. I don't know. We'll have to see. That's a good point. He hasn't actually signed yet. But he had a team designation up until recently. He wasn't teamless for the whole time. That's weird.
Yeah. I just noticed that. About an hour ago.
I thought he got tendered though. I thought he got tendered. I don't see that he got tendered, but for some reason I thought he did.
And yeah, I thought the same thing, but I just read an article that says March 16th he's officially a free agent again. So, I mean, not that long ago, less than 3 weeks or 3 weeks ago. But I thought I saw the same news pop up.
Yeah, I must have saw that they were planning to bring him back, or they were thinking to bring him back. I don't know. I thought he did sign it, but that's a good point, Ron. Ron, hang tight real quick. We got Ryan Kilpatrick's already talked to Christian Silva, and then we can circle back around. Christian.
Yes. What's up, Smitty? To add on to that, Jerick McKinnon, no, he's not with us because he ran out, his contract's out. We still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire for one more year, but I highly doubt, and they were talking about they weren't going to renew his or give him a longer contract.
They're trying to trade him, too. I think Joe Burrow would maybe urge the Bengals to trade for him if, let's say, they release Mixon, but we'll see. I don't know how much you'd probably get a fourth rounder for him or something. It would be not something much at all.
In all honesty, I wouldn't mind if we traded him. I mean, he's good, and I like him, but over the years, he has become well, then again, how we don't really use RBs like that, but he has gotten injured a lot, so he's become unreliable for us, at least. That doesn't mean he can't be reliable for Cincinnati, but that's the way I see it.
Definitely. I bet you bring back McKinnon, though. But we'll see.
Because not
he's
only
older.
that, Marcel Hardman is gone. We lost McKinnon, and then so we need a wide receiver, and we need a running back.
Bro, I love Sky Moore. I think Sky Moore is going to have a breakout season potentially. A lot of draft capital. So he's definitely, Sky Moore with the draft capital investment, he's definitely going to be turned to. Kadarius Toney, I know everybody wants him to be a moon man. I just don't trust him yet. I like him. He's satellite man worthy. Did we put him on the satellite man list? Let me see.
Satellite men.
No, we didn't yet.
Space cadets in training.
I love Kadarius Toney too, but another thing alongside Pacheco, I love Pacheco too, and I think I've said it before, but we fear that he'll run so hard that he'll get himself injured, and then Kadarius Toney can't seem to stay fit because he's always getting injured. So then that only leaves us with Sky Moore and I forgot.
You guys got Justin Ross coming back. You guys got Justin Ross coming back. He's injured all last year.
We got a $5. Hold on one second, guys. We got a $2 hauler from Isaac. How are we feeling about Dearness Johnson in Jacksonville? Backup. I'm not much of a feeling at all. Good player, but I'm not feeling like he's got any sort of. I mean, it is a good player to be in Jacksonville because I don't feel like he's taking anything from ETN. He's just gonna spell him. What we want to happen. We want ETN getting 22 carries a game. Paul dropping a $25 wad on the screen, so we need to.
Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy. Appreciate that, my man. Thanks for making it rain. $20 haulers get a rain dance there. Smitty, where is your value for Tyler Algier? I think he's undervalued and underdog right now. I would agree with that, but I'd also say I understand why he's undervalued, and I don't really see myself drafting him, even though I can accept he's undervalued. I don't see myself drafting him any higher than where he's going, though, because we don't fully know what the Falcons are going to do with the running back position. They could draft Bijan, probably not, but it's still a possibility. They could draft Charbonnet or, somebody in round 2. So we got to keep an eye on that. And some of these running backs will fall further than we would let them fall. They just will. It's just the nature of the way that the running back is looked at in the NFL world. But until he escapes the NFL draft, I'm waiting. And on top of that, you still don't fully know what the offense is going to look like, how well they'll move the chains, and so forth. So I like him a lot. I do. He's got a ton of value. Look, he was a moon man for a reason last year. He absolutely looked phenomenal. But if I'm the Falcons, I would take Bijan. I would take Bijan every single one of these picks, pretty much. And that's just not me being offensive minded and crazy. I like Sauce Gardner as my number 1 overall player in his draft class. So it's again, not something where I'm just so offensive minded all the time. I just think, unless you're the Colts, you got JT, you don't need him. But I seriously would be like, if I'm one of these teams, especially the Cardinals, I trade down a little and take them. If I'm the Raiders, you can't really, because you got Josh Jacobs, so that would be out. Lions will certainly think about taking Bijan at 18. They won't at 6. Falcons could think about it. Bears should be thinking about it, and they probably are. JSN as well. Eagles should be thinking about it, probably are, but they are also in command of this 30 overall draft pick, so that puts them in prime position to get at least one RB, either at 30 or at 10, and the 30 pick guarantees you Charbonnet or Gibbs. So if I'm the Eagles, even as much as I love Bijan, I do kind of like going, defensive or offensive line or defensive piece, and then, probably going defensive. Probably going defense here and going Charbonnet or Gibbs here. Gibbs would be amazing. I just hope they use him properly.
Who's gaining a lot of traction is Izzy Abanikana. I mean, he's gaining a lot of traction. And, he's not a small back. He's a big back. And 4.3 speed. And he's the youngest prospect
Thank you, Paul.
in the draft too.
YouTube,
I think he's in a great landing spot.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a good one, Ron. A YouTube user says Lions have Swift and Montgomery. Yes. Have a daily show, bro. A daily news show, Monday through Friday. I'm live 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours a day, dropping NFL news. I know this. I appreciate it. But I do know this. Doesn't mean that the Lions aren't considering it. They love to run the ball, and he's a generational talent. Steve Smith praises Sky Moore. I love him, bro. Sky Moore, the draft capital alone almost guarantees he's getting a solid shot. And so Sky Moore is somebody to he is one of my favorite wide receiver 3-4s, especially an underdog. He is a phenomenal 3rd, 4th wide receiver. I feel so amped about him in that territory. Love it. I'm definitely keeping an eye out for Sky Moore. Yeah, good job, Isaac. Smart, my man. If Kelsey loses production or hits that end of his career slump or injuries, Sky Moore could see some upside. So could Fortson. So could what's the other guy's name?
We have Noah Gray also.
Gray. Yeah, Gray and Fortson. Fortson they love a lot, though. So I'm surprised Fortson doesn't get more hype when people start talking about, what if Kelsey got hurt? It's always Gray. Noah Gray, Noah Gray. I like Noah Gray, but they love Fortson. So kind of tough to know who they would turn to at the end of the day. But probably Gray's more embedded in the offense and he's got the system down a little more.
They use Noah Gray more when they're putting two tight ends along with Travis Kelsey. And so usually it's always Noah Gray that they use. But Kelsey's most, he has this year and then maybe next year before he falls off. That's my estimate. That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tyler Scott would work great in Kansas City.
Tyler Scott, we'll see. Yeah, he definitely, I think he did okay. I know, Ron, you were disappointed with his combine, but I felt like he did decent. He actually, in catching drills, looked pretty good. Zay,
he looked.
Yeah, Zay Jones is a real find for wherever he slips to. I wouldn't be shocked if Zay went earlier than everybody expected, but also I wouldn't be shocked if he was the fourth wide receiver taken. So, the Patrick dropping a $5 holler. He says, JMO is better value than St. Brown. Last year, I was high on the sun god, but this year, people are going to be disappointed, says the Patrick. It's not the craziest take. Does anybody else, if we're being honest, have a little bit of a concern that kind of like Deebo, his huge year, the next year, disappointment? Does anybody feel like that with the sun god? I know we love him. But objectively, does anybody, can they be honest with themselves and say, there's a little bit of a worry? Anybody? Bueller?
Yeah,
for sure.
And we don't know what Jameson's going to do either, so that's the other factor in the whole thing. If Jameson starts balling out, that could affect Brown's targets and stuff too.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand this take. Like if I'm going St. Brown in round 2, I'm not loving it. I'm not. I hate saying that about a Moon Man. I'm not loving it.
It'd be great to see him in round 3.
Guys, hang tight. We got so many people on hold here. We had the Fire. What's his name? That's Fire guy on again, but he dropped off. Who hasn't talked yet? I think the only one left is Tristan. Tristan, what's up, pal?
Yeah. Hey, Smitty. Yeah, on Amon-Ra, I just feel like we kind of, I almost, just be honest, I feel like we've seen the best that we're going to see of him. And I feel like Jameson's going to keep eating into his targets, and DJ Shark is gone now, so Jameson's kind of, the next man up after Sun God. And with, I think Jared Goff, there's a ceiling with him, and I don't know how long he'll be there. And I'm honestly selling Amon-Ra for high value right now if I can.
Yeah, I don't hate the take. I mean, I like, as much as I love St. Brown, I think if St. Brown were going in, don't you guys think if he was a third rounder, we'd be having a much different discussion? We'd be saying to ourselves, but the fact that he's in round 2, I think that's if you ask me, hey, Smitty, how many best ball drafts have you drafted St. Brown in? Out of all my best ball drafts, maybe 1. So that's just being real. It doesn't mean I don't like him. I just think second round, I just don't find myself taking the plunge. And I think some of it has to do with what you guys have said, Goff. It's not that Goff didn't do great. It's not that Goff can't continue to do well for another year or two. I'm not saying that, but he's got two.
Not terrible.
He's got two potential monster wide receivers, and I don't think Goff can cook that much, food in the kitchen to feed both of them properly. So someone's gonna be left not eating on occasion. And what if they do this rotation thing? St. Brown feels a lot like Deebo coming off of Deebo's big year. That's the best way I can put it. Not saying it can't work out. I love St. Brown.
Well, I think it goes a lot with like a lot of us. When it comes around to St. Brown, there's usually like one or two players I like better.
Yeah.
In that area, and I
Yeah.
end up picking them instead of.
Yeah, I think, again, it comes down to, it's not that I hate him. I'm not calling a bust for St. Brown. It just comes down to liking, other players better. I mean, if we look at his, it's crazy because, I mean, look how he finished. I know he's banged up too, so it's really hard to judge him off his game log. It really is. But let's look at his game log, and it's just it's a little bit concerning. Oh, hold on.
But then again, there's not that many that have his work ethic either.
Yeah.
So
That's a factor for sure. But look at his game log.
So,
in weeks 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, no touchdowns. Nothing over 60 or 76 yards in weeks 14, 15, 16, 17. He had two very good games in weeks 12 and 13. 122 yards and a TD, 114 yards and two TDs right here in the middle, 11 and 12. In week 10, he had 119 yards. A string of mediocre games there. He had obviously an amazing first 2 weeks of the season. 12 targets in both week 1 and week 2. He led the NFL, I think, in targets for wide receivers through the first 2 weeks. 64 and a touch, 116 and 2 TDs. This was a moon man. This is a guy, when we show the yearbook from 2022, we've got St. Brown in the bottom left corner. We've got Joe Burrow, Hurts, ETN, Walker. Look at this yearbook. It's phenomenal. We got a lot of heat for this. A lot of people said this wasn't a good list, and then at the end of the year, look how good it looks. Look how we got Cactus Jack with a 199 Spaceman drop. Appreciate that, my guy. What's he saying in here? Again, please, nobody take away. Cactus Jack, thank you for the super chat. If you got a question, I'll look for it. You didn't attach anything to this. Maybe you're just being a boss and dropping a $2 holler. Space Jam. I don't want anybody to take away that I doubt St. Brown, and especially don't tell him. Nobody tell him. The guy he'll never let it go. This guy will stare me down from across the field. He remembers everything. He remembers everything. Hey, Deebo Samuel's going live. Let's see what Deebo's up to. Deebo Samuel's going live right now from his vehicle. Okay. What's Deebo doing? Let's send a live request just in case. Let's just see if maybe he'll accept us in. I've talked to Deebo before. I talked to Deebo in a clubhouse situation, like I was telling you earlier. I went on a thing on a stage with him and talked to him, and Deebo he's a strange guy. Hopefully, okay, he didn't. He's a strange guy, and I think I even said something really positive about him, and everybody, what do you say? I said something about the Niners and the possibility of winning the division, and there's some Seahawk fans in there or something, and they went crazy. And Deebo didn't get my back at all after I said something really positive about the Niners. But he's in here. He's driving. Probably doing some work. He's jamming to some tunes. I'll leave him right here in case he gets crazy and accepts the request. Go ahead. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Who hasn't talked a lot that has a question? Philly? Okay. Who? D Philly, go.
Okay, but I want to know what you feel with Kirk and Calvin Ridley. How is Calvin Ridley going to affect Christian Kirk's performance this coming season?
Oh boy, you got to think it'll affect him at least a little bit, because this guy put it on his family that he's going to have 1,400 yards.
Yeah.
I like Ridley a lot. My concern with Ridley is that, give me an example of a wide receiver that's taken off this amount of time because he quit football and then he gambled on football and he missed another year Can anybody, and I'm asking legitimately because there might be an example that I forgot. I'm like, yeah, that is a good one. Can anybody remember a player that has taken off that much time, come back, and been the exact same, on the exact same path? Because he was on the top 5 to 7 wide receiver path. I don't know if anybody remembers that, if your memory's foggy, but Calvin Ridley was on the top 5 to 7 wide receiver path. Can anybody cite a player, in the chat too, that returned to form after 2 years off? Anybody?
Nobody.
Antonio Brown. He didn't take 2 years off though, did he?
Yeah, I don't think his time off was very long.
Yeah, his time off wasn't.
No, he did not.
Someone give me two year. Anybody that's ever taken 2 years off, come back and balled out the same. Sick Nasty celebrating 5 months. When is your next Dynasty startup show, bro? We'll do a Dynasty draft, not tonight, but tomorrow night. Dynasty YouTube live stream. And if anybody hasn't subscribed to my Dynasty channel yet, do that right this very second, because I'm going to do a draft tomorrow. I dropped that link in the live chat. Let me pin it real quick. We'll do a Dynasty startup mock draft on the channel tomorrow on the Dynasty channel. So subscribe. Anybody have a name? Anybody in the chat? Anybody on the call? Anybody that took off, even if it was a significant amount of time? Hopkins didn't take off 2 years, bro. AP got injured. That's different. We're talking about stepping away and coming back. And AP only missed one. You're talking about 1 year. You guys are bringing up 1 year guys. People get injured all the time. Like, give me somebody that's been out stepped away from the game for over 1 year and come back and balled out. Gronk, that's a pretty decent one. But I don't know that he ever reached his, did he? He didn't really reach his old levels, though.
Gronk is Gronk, though.
So nobody can come up with a great example. So my point is, like, are we expecting a little too much out of Calvin Ridley? Or can T-Law, the Law Dog, do it? Can he make this guy the first ever that we can remember to come back and be the exact same form? Maybe. I
think it's pop.
I like T-Law a lot. I love T-Law.
I would say T-Law is a lot better than Matt Ryan.
Oh, God, yeah. That's like talking about Jordans versus Puma Jams, bro.
Right. So T-Law
Ridley
is going to
also,
recognize his talents. And his route running is, I mean, it was, I don't know if it is now, but his route running was superb. I mean, he was always open. And if that old flat Matt Ryan can hit him, T-Law is going to just blister him with across the middles.
Yeah, T-Law. Hold on. I have one thing I want to say about T-Law, but Hector says, I guess Josh Gordon. No, that's the example that I would say would be the worst example you can give, because there was a guy that was in everyone's mind. Who here can't honestly admit and be honest with themselves that they once thought Josh Gordon could be a number 1, number 2, or number 3 overall wide receiver? Super chat, Isaac, appreciate you. Are you high on Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley? Yeah, let me get to that 1 second, Isaac. Good question. We're talking about Calvin Ridley right now. But we all thought Josh Gordon had the potential, right? To be like at least top 5 wide.
Randy Moss.
Yeah, like, that's not crazy that we thought that. That's not. We didn't misjudge the situation. He was removed from football for an extended period of time, and when that happens, you sometimes lose an edge. Ricky Williams is a good one.
Yeah.
Ricky Williams, great.
Running
back, but Ricky Williams' career stats. Let me see how long he took off. Did he just take off the 1 year, though?
Oh.
That's a great one. So Ricky Williams, he didn't ever really return to form, though. Thank you for Did he return to form?
He had a phenomenal game.
Hunt didn't step away, but he was gone for a half a year. Yeah, that's Patrick. I mean, it's a good one to bring up, but we're talking about stepping away. Mike Vick, he didn't step away by his own accord, but yes, that's another good one. But I don't think anybody's given me an example of somebody that's. What, Ron?
Can't use Le'Veon Bell because he was garbage when he came
right.
back.
I would say maybe Ricky Williams is the best one because he did come back of 11, 21, and 11 touchdowns in 2009. And it looks like he stepped away. He retired in 2004, came back in 2005, played 12 games. 2006 missed the season for substance abuse, came back in 2007. So even that one's hard to use because there's only 1 year off at a time. There's no example. There's really no example. So end of story is this. Maybe Mike Vick is the only one. And he only missed, how long did Mike Vick miss? Michael Vick.
Wasn't his sentence pretty long?
Yeah, 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
But what he came back though and did what? He came back in here. Let me put the stats so we can all look at it. So his first game back.
He came back. Philly gave him a chance, and he did really well in Philly.
Here it is. I'm going to put it on screen so we can go over this together. It's been so long, I don't remember the dates. So in 2007 and 2008, he was gone. He was in the pen. So he came back and played he played 12 games. He had 86 yards. What? No, he started one game. One game, okay. So 2010. So he missed 3 years. He missed 3 years essentially. Came back in 2010, had 3,000 passing yards, 21 touchdowns, and I missed the rushing. How many rushing yards did he have? Hold on. And what year was that? 2011? No, 2010? 2010, he had 676 and 9 touchdowns. Man, he didn't.
Wow.
I think we don't give Jalen Hurts enough credit for what he's doing right now. Like Mike Vick is one of the best running quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, and we might be looking at the new rushing monster. Here's Mike Vick's rushing stats. So 2000, what are we saying? 2010, I highlighted it here. 2010, he had 676 and 9 TDs. That was good. So Mike Vick is the only guy that's ever missed more than 2 years or more and returned to form. Maybe Calvin Ridley's the second. Real quickly, let me get these super chats out of the way. Great questions, great topics, guys. Ridley, hopefully we answered your question on that one already. Isaac, what?
Prison for 2 years. He went to prison for 2 years over dogs, and Kamara's running free after almost beating the guy to death. Makes a lot of sense to me.
It's senseless, bro. Isaac says, are you high on Jameson Williams, Calvin Ridley? So I explained Calvin Ridley. I like Calvin Ridley, but ask me how many times I've drafted him in Best Ball Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Use promo code Smitty, get up to $100 bonus match. We'll be drafting tonight, so you want to make sure you click on this link. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat right now. You want to get signed up. It's a minimum of $10 deposit, but again, they will match up to $100 in your first deposit. So make sure you pick your first deposit wisely. Ask me how many times I've drafted Calvin Ridley, guys, in Best Ball this year. I think 0. It's not that I don't like him, but he's going way too high for my liking. As for Jameson Williams, I tend to own him a little more, but I like St. Brown more, but I do worry about both of them eating into each other's workload. I do. What else we got? Who else we got on the line that hasn't talked a lot? D. Philly, you got a chance, right? Tristan or Christian Silva, do you guys have anything you want to ask? Thank you,
just
Isaac.
One last. I got one before I gotta go. I have one dynasty question. I got sent an offer, and I have both Tyreek and Waddle together, and he wants to send me Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, and the 1.5, I believe.
Deebo, the 1.5 and Cup for what?
For just Tyreek, Hill, and Waddle.
And this is Dynasty?
Yes. And it's a 2 QB.
Which essentially doesn't matter because you don't have any QBs in this trade, although the 1.5 can be considered for that. That's tough because Waddle is the most valuable. Hill and Cooper Kupp are both older, kind of on the same path of decline in 2 years, let's say. Deebo, I don't trust long term. 1.5 could be great, but it also is maybe a pick or two. Well, I mean, how many quarterbacks are going to go in the top 5 if you had to predict?
I'd say in this league, probably 2. Just 2 for the rookies, just 2. I already have the 1.4. I have the 1.1, the 1.4, and he wants to give me the 1.5 and Cooper Kupp. I don't need any RBs because I have Breece Hall, Etienne, and Tony Pollard. But I do need. Well, my 2 QBs are Brock Purdy and Daniel Jones.
I initially wanted to say heck no, bro, and I'm not saying yes. But the fact that you're probably going to see 2 QBs go. Who are your QBs, you said?
Danny Dimes and Brock Purdy.
Danny Dimes and Tom Brady, you said?
No, Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy, oh, okay.
Maybe if he comes back, but I doubt it.
Tom Brady to the moon.
Yeah. I would probably say, bro, I would take the Cooper Kupp Deebo side because it gives you a potential Anthony Richardson draft selection. Maybe he goes, though. It gives you the potential for Bryce Young. Stroud could go. And then you also have a shot at Charbonnet, JSN. Probably not Bijan, but Charbonnet, JSN.
Oh, I do. I have the 1.1.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I have the 1.1 and the 1.4, and he's going to give me the 1.5. So I'm going to take Bijan regardless. In the 1.1. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess even if we don't consider that, though, because we got to think about who you're going to get. I'd probably say, God, end of the day, bro. I'd probably take. Look, I like Kupp as much as I like Hill. I like Kupp as much as I like Hill. I think they both last about the same amount of time. I think Waddle over Deebo, but give me the 1.5 and Deebo over Waddle. I would try and trade Deebo for Watson or London. If you can do that, bro, you smash this trade.
Okay.
You know, if you go get like a London or like an Olave, even better, Olave. You go get Olave using Deebo and let's say I don't know, another pick somewhere like a 2025 or something like that. I don't know. It's tough though. You know, getting that 1.5 is nice though.
I mean, I do have an extra 2025 first rounder.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll go ahead and I'll try that to see where it leads me.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna jump here in a second. Let's go through the list here. Christian Silva, you got 10 seconds. Go.
Nothing much. Good show. I don't know what's wrong with everybody. They should probably just click the like button. That's all for me.
All right, appreciate you, bro. Call in tonight if we do drafting. We probably will. Appreciate you.
All right.
D Philly, you got 10 seconds.
Good show, Smitty. Thanks for the entertainment. Everybody have a good night, and
see you tonight.
Take care.
Later. Let's go. Kilpatrick, last 10 seconds. What do you want? What do you got? What do you got? Hit me with it.
Yo, Calvin Ridley's bounce back year, man.
It could happen, bro. It could happen for sure. I don't know that I'm banking on it. I don't know.
1,370 yards on a broken foot, man.
Man,
he'll be all right.
You hear things like that, and you're like, yeah, maybe he can. Maybe he will do a Ricky Williams. All right, bro. Appreciate you, Kilpatrick. Call in tonight. That's what I was gonna say. T-Law. I believe T-Law has as much ability to throw more 3+ TD games than anybody in the National Football League. That doesn't mean he leads the league in touchdown passes necessarily, because he could have one touchdown pass games or two. But I think he's that guy that could throw like 3 different 3 TD games with maybe 2 of them being 4 touchdown games. You know how Big Ben used to throw like a 6 touchdown game? It seemed like every year, but I feel like T-Law's got that weird, 250 yards and 4 touchdowns, and then the next week 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like he could just have like a crazy he's gonna be I love T-Law. He's so fun to watch. All right, Kilpatrick, call in tonight.
All right, see you.
Isaac, last 10 seconds, bro.
The Isaac. Hey, listen, I love the Ridley topic. I think, man, the Jaguars have 3 super athletic wide receivers, man, and T-Law's a baller. So the Ridley conversation is interesting because I'd take him over a Juju. Honestly, give him a chance, and just to see how he bounces back after so much time off.
Bro, those two are far apart though. Ridley's going way higher than Juju. Like you'd have to say the reason I don't own Ridley though is I'd rather have Watson, I'd rather have London, I'd rather have Olave. And Ridley's going like that high, like somewhere in there.
He's in that area.
Yeah.
I get that. I would skip around, but he might be in a perfect situation that gives him a little more time to bounce back.
Grandma leagues, I bet he falls. I bet Watson and Ridley are both like in round 6 in grandma leagues.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Call in tonight, Isaac. Later.
All right, man.
Tristan.
I don't think I have anything for me. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, call in tonight if you want. Later, pal. And Ron Navy.
Yeah, I'm going to take Tristan's extra 10 seconds.
Okay.
I really love the team I drafted in best ball earlier. I had the 6th spot, and I ended up with JJ, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr, and I love the stack. Chris Olave, Hawkinson, Pickens, Charbonnet, Pat Freiermuth, Osborne, Brian Robinson, Taysom Hill, Izzy Akabada, Rashad Rashid, Sean Tucker, Tim Patrick, Darnell Washington, James Robinson, Evan Hall, and Tyler Scott. But I got all the receivers and tight ends for every single quarterback I got. I love that team.
Stacking like the man Ron only knows how to be. Ron, appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'll see you tonight. We'll do some more stacking tonight. Nice team. I like it.
Oh, hard to stack against our own.
Yeah, it is.
It's fun. It's fun, though.
Yeah. See you tonight.
All right.
Later on. Appreciate you. Later. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll see you all tonight. We'll do a mock draft and a best ball draft. I don't know. I got to figure out the Garrett Wilson stuff, the jersey contest yet. I think I'm going to hold off another weekend, and then Monday or Tuesday we should hit it back again, and we'll start kicking into the drafts. I just got to make sure I iron a couple things out with Underdog to make sure we're on the same page. So Tuesday we'll do the Garrett Wilson. Well, it's really going to be a super flex jersey, like a quarterback jersey for the Superflex draft. So the Garrett Wilson jerseys contest, that will kick back into gear once the Manias are back and we're back to 1 QB drafts. Right now we're doing Superflex drafts, And so we're going to have a different jersey for that. I just got to iron that out real quick. So we're pausing the Garrett Wilson drafts. All the drafts that were included in that stay entered. And then we're going to continue it on with 1 QB underdog private drafts. But right now we're jumping into the Superflex. So we're going to have a Superflex quarterback autograph jersey. So that will probably be Tuesday that we kick that off again. I'll see you all tonight. Appreciate you. Thank you for all the super chats in the building tonight. You know who you are, but I'm going to read off your names anyway. The Patrick dropping a 2 wad on screen. Isaac dropping a $2 wad on screen. Cactus Jack a $2 hauler. The Patrick a $5 hauler. Paul dropping the $25 wad. Isaac dropping another $2 hauler. The Patrick dropping another $2 hauler. We got Pablo dropping the 5 spot. We got the Patrick dropping a 5. The Patrick's been going crazy. And Devo dropping the $4.99. Appreciate every single one of you. And for those of you that are just hitting the like button, those of you that are commenting, you are also doing your job and your service for the show. We are at the verge, the cusp of 18K. We are at the verge of 18K on the channel. This behind me, 17K, turns to 18K. Very, very soon. Probably in the next week. Ron Navy dropping a $20 Spaceman dance. And on that note, Ron, let's see if I got any more. Ron Navy, appreciate you, Ron. Ron in the building. Ron making it rain. See you all tonight. Laters. Subscribe if you're new. 100 thumbs up. Appreciate you guys hitting the 100 on the way out the door. 93 of you still in here. And just because 93 of you stayed, you guys know that the credits, it doesn't mean the show's ever quite over. You never know until it ends. On that note, I give you, for those of you that have not been able to see it yet and have no idea what the 4 horsemen are, here are the 4 horsemen. One of the best win-a-league strategies in fantasy football 2023. From a certain draft spot, this works out real well. I give you the 4 horsemen.
I give you the 4 horsemen. Jamar Chase, Kenneth Walker, Breece Hall, Joe Burrow, all from the 1.1 draft slot. The 4 horsemen ride 4 horses all at one time. Giddy up.